to LOA Today. I'm Walt Mason here with life coach Joel Elston and Alyx King. It is Thursday, April the 18th, 2019. It's 8 a.m. in New York, 5 a.m. in Los Angeles, 1 p.m. in London. Sydney, Australia is about 10 p.m. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy that we are back again doing our Thursday morning thing with Joel because, Joel, it's one of my favorite times of the week is being able to talk to you. And, I get to talk to Alyx, I get double doses of Alyx, but my weekly dose of Joel, otherwise my week falls apart. So thank you for doing the show.
I always appreciate it, Walt. It's always good to be here. We have such a good time doing it, and I'm so glad Alyx is on board. The more the merrier, and it is a highlight of my week as well.
Absolutely. And Alyx, you had an interesting idea for a topic today. Where did this? Why don't you tell people what it is and where did it come from? Where'd you get this idea?
I want to talk about toxicity today because I feel like on the Law of Attraction Change My Life group, there's a lot of posts about negative people in other people's lives and how to get rid of them or what should they do, things about of that nature. So I think it's a good idea that we, throw some ideas out there.
And it's not unique to that group, by the way. As far as all Law of Attraction groups have that kind of toxicity.
Yes. All social media has that type of toxicity.
And I suppose it really comes down to not so much what can you do about the toxicity, but what can you do about how you're going to react to it and how you're going to deal with it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Which basically means how do you ignore it?
Mm-hmm.
Which is not something we talk about much, Joel. How do you ignore things?
I think a lot of it, like we talk about when you give it power, and this is almost the counterintuitive part of the law of attraction. So if you have to spend a lot of energy ignoring it, in a sense, you're still giving it power. So learning to there's a difference. When I'm working with people, most people assume that the difference between love and hate are the exact opposite. They're not at all. They're the same basic emotion. It's how it's directed. The opposite of either love or hate is total indifference. And getting to a point where, I choose what I give power to. If somebody calls me a bad name or says something that's critical of me, it isn't what they're saying that matters. It's who that's saying it and how much I allow that power, that person to say it. And that's really important, really, really important to understand. And the power that I give someone, it goes to a deeper level than the toxicity. It's really hard, especially when it's family members or people you work with. There's a line of learning and controlling who you give power to. And that's sort of the bottom line. Because when you're spending a lot of time trying to say, well, I will just ignore this, it's almost a deeper level of saying, I'm not going to give this person power. I'm not going to give this statement power. And there's a lot of toxic people out there, and there's a lot of reasons why they're toxic. The belief that you could fix it or the belief that you could change it is a delusion. So that's their own work to do. Your participation is completely in your power and how much energy you give to that person, if that makes any sense.
It definitely does. It definitely does.
It's an ironic thing, too, because with dealing with what we're calling toxic people, it's not that the people themselves are toxic, it's that they're focusing on stuff that has a toxicity to it, and that sometimes they're trying to project that stuff on us, so it feels really toxic in those situations.
Yes.
The thing about dealing with people like that is, like Joel says, you get a chance to decide, well, do I really want to deal with them at all? Unless you're chained to the wall and somebody is really insulting all day, you can actually avoid somebody if you really, really want to. But, there are situations where you just can't avoid someone. Maybe it's a coworker you work with every single day. Maybe it's a family member you can't get away from. And under those circumstances, you almost need a little bit more than just being able to, choose not to engage. Because sometimes you just have to engage because of other aspects of your life. It's just part of your job. It's part of your family role or whatever. So that's where I think it gets kind of challenging. How do you deal with a toxic person that in certain ways you just can't get away from?
Mm-hmm.
And this is almost like sort of, and I'll use an example. To be offended, if you attempt to offend me, Walt, I have the power to enter into a contract with you, is what it means, and I have to accept your intended offense to be offended. Or I cannot, again, it's about what I give power to. I have to interact with people that are toxic, but at the same time, I don't have to give their toxicity any power. They're giving it power. I have to connect with that power. There's an energy. And part of the energy vibration of the law of attraction, I believe this is that next level stuff. It's not just the energy we're putting out that we're attracting, but also being able to not allow other people's energy into your orbit. And that becomes that next level of awareness. So, I deal with all types of people, and I've worked with borderline personality people at work, and that's a very toxic concept often. So what I have to do is I'm working with this person, but when they're out there trying to undermine me, they're out there trying to do it, I have to once again choose to give that the power. If somebody says, Joel, you're not doing this, and most people, they tend to press a button or say something that presses your button. Nobody can press your button unless you put that button out there. And that's like developing a thicker skin and understanding we're operating. My energy and my thought and my happiness and my well-being, all of that is strictly in my control. It's a delusion in life that someone else has that power. Now, we are almost taught the opposite. We're almost, you hear this all the time. Well, so-and-so made me feel something. Well, yes. I'm sorry, unless they physically take a 2x4 to your head, they can't make you feel anything. Words, again, we give them the power. So it is this level of, ignoring it in a sense is giving it power, but just sort of filtering it through your own filter of, I'm not giving this. I'm not allowing this to take place. I'm not giving it any more power than I can. And I get to interpret what you say. So, I've had people make extreme comments toward me or, and my response, well, thank you. Or, oh, that's awesome. I appreciate your opinion. And it totally gets, it just gets them off guard. I have, because when you don't give into that, you aren't necessarily ignoring, you're reframing. Everything that comes my way, I get to reframe. And whether it's, my perspective remains in my control on a daily basis, 24 hours a day until the day my heart starts beating. That's my perspective. When I allow others to dictate a perspective to me, then I lose my reality and I allow somebody else to be in charge of that. And that's negative or positive or anything. I like to participate and surround myself with like-minded people who operate on the same energy, but not everyone in my orbit is that way. And so I have developed over the years, I'm impervious to that other stuff. It doesn't affect me. And I don't spend a lot of time ignoring it. I just filter it. And eventually people, when they realize they lose the power, they adapt their way of communicating with you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's true. That's been your experience, Alyx?
To a point. I like to take the ignorance is bliss approach. So so basically if something comes my way or a toxic person comes my way and I realize, this is not conducive to my mental health, and I'm like, I'm going to ignore you and then I'll be blissful. And so, but to get to that point, you have to ask what I always ask, and which is, why do you care? When you think about what they said, why do you care? Does it matter to you that much? Does it matter to you that much? Do you care about that person that much that you need them in your life? And if the answer is no, then ignorance is bliss.
And that's such a good point. That's that thicker skin, developing the thicker skin.
Yeah.
Develop, the idea that we have become, and I'm not going to get on a political rant or a social rant, but in a lot of ways we have become hypersensitive to looking to the concept of, oh, that offended me. I will often have people say, well, Joel, I hope this doesn't offend you. And I'll immediately interrupt them and go, you're not that powerful. And of course that's more awesome.
Right.
But I have to give them that permission, and that's in a sense we're saying the same thing, Alex. Where it's just not there. I don't care what random people think. When I wrote my book, and the publisher was really a nice guy, and we were talking about all the stuff they were going to do, and he said, Joel, he said, there's something he said, you got a really good book, and anytime, he said, try not to read your reviews. He said, because there's going to always be someone that has a critical word to say. He said, people are going to love your book, and there's other people that no matter what you say are going to take a contrarian approach and say something to try to press your button. Don't give those power. And that's a really important thing. And I have different, on different platforms, you get different things. Out of all the platforms my book is sold on, I have, I think, a total like 90 reviews. Amazon has like 20. And of all the ones, there's one on Amazon that is a negative review, and it's from a childhood friend's sister. I have no idea what I did to earn that. However,
wow.
However, it's not. I saw that person when I was down in Florida last time. Always spoke. It doesn't have any power over me because I understand that I'm not that person. Everybody's energy, that toxicity, as Walt said, people are not generally toxic. Their situation or their life has led them to, they're at a point of toxicity. I had a point of toxicity in my life. It's part of their journey. Almost everybody has a toxic period in their life, and part of this is overcoming it. Some people may never, but it's irrelevant. It's because that's the power they're possessing. I don't have to accept or bind with them or bond with that energy.
I also like what you said a moment ago, Joel, about how you will make light of somebody trying to pull power over you in some way, and you'll say, well, thank you very much for that, to make a joke out of it. There's another technique I was using, and you can imagine how to use this technique by thinking of the politician you like the least. And imagine how that person never, ever answers a question. So, if the question is, what's your position on global warming, they'll give you an answer. School system. No connection whatsoever, and that's the whole trick. All the conversation can be about the toxicity, but none of the answers. None of the answers be about it at all. You just change the subject. And that's what the skilled politicians do. They're able to just change the subject at whim.
And that one of the things I admire, without taking any personality or political views in a statement, I view one of the things that I find amazing, both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump have an amazing ability to direct the narrative and their view, how they want to go, without commentary again on either. They have that. Hillary Clinton has maybe the thickest skin of any. I mean, she has the ability to take criticism on an incredible level. I admire that trait in her. And Donald Trump, while there's many traits I possibly don't admire in him, he makes a statement and believes it, and I'll be dang, sometimes it just doesn't become reality, and it's sort of a law of attraction. I mean, he will make a statement totally opposite of where reality is, and before long, everybody's repeating that statement, and it sort of has become reality. So I again, not a commentary on their political beliefs, but a lot of times you'll see that in politicians or people that, CEOs of companies. You don't get to be a CEO of a massive company without having exceptionally thick skin. One of the sort of a thing that I don't keep watching the news, Alex, very much, but I was.
Me neither.
I'm sort of involved in a client situation, and there's a big scandal about the college admissions scandal. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
yes, I am.
One of the people that I the Aunt Becky on Full House.
Yes.
I don't know her name. I forget her name. Yeah, she was implicated in this, and apparently she, I she didn't kill anybody, but she, gave $500,000 to somebody and he got her kid into school. So she's in the middle of this court case. But besides all that, one thing I admired about her and the little bit that I saw, when she walked into court, she was posing with pictures with people. She was smiling. She was signing autographs. Now, I'm sure she's scared to death because she's, wow, I'm in the middle of this thing. But,
right.
At some point, what are you going to do? So her energy right now is, let's just do what we got to do. And if she could face up to 20 years in prison, I would be really shocked if she spent a night in prison or jail. But I mean, she could, and it's probably going to cost her a fortune. However, she's out there smiling. A lot of it is what we bring, what we bring to a situation. So, do you go in hiding and or do you go out and just, yep, here it is. Here's the reality. And while I'm sure she's not proud of her actions on the big scale of massive crimes in the United States last year, I don't know of anyone that views that as a really big deal. In the big scheme of things, so
yeah.
She's framing that. So because she's acting that way, people are just like, well, yeah, I mean, there's Aunt Becky out there. She's pretty cool, And, and so a lot of it is how we choose to address adversity or toxicity. We are in charge of that. And that's the hardest thing to believe. We're almost taught that this stuff is dictated to us. And, it isn't. We're in charge. And that is the ultimate freedom that the law of attraction brought to my life, is when I realized I'm in charge of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
You're indirectly touching on something that is actually a touchy issue for a lot of people, because there are a lot of people, and I think quite justifiably so in many ways, who complain that the judicial system is extremely unfair. The wealthy get treated like, they're kings and queens. Somebody who's poor and has no power gets treated like crap, and it's a very unfair. And I agree. However, and this is what I think your point really draws out very nicely, there's a good reason beyond having wealth why people who are in that position do better. It's because of exactly what you talked about. They go into that courtroom or they go into that interview with that prosecutor or whatever with an entirely different mindset. And sure, that mindset is helped a lot by the wealth that they have, but nevertheless, they do have the different mindset. And that different mindset makes a huge difference. That's what we know about law of attraction. Your mindset controls your experience. It directly impacts it in ways that you can hardly even predict in advance, but you're using the term vibration. If you're in vibration X, you're going to get more X back or something similar to X.
Right.
Vibration is good, you're going to get more good back. If your vibration is, oh my God, I'm in trouble, and I just feel miserable, and I can't believe how can I get out of this? Guess what's going to come back? You can't really avoid that fact. So on the one hand, I'm sympathetic on the issue, but on the other hand, it's like, well, the mindset does make a difference. And I think we should.
Well, and that is, first of all, everything on our planet, everything is, and nobody has ever said or insisted that, in my opinion, we have absolutely nothing going on that isn't in our control. However, life isn't fair. So the concept that life is supposed to be fair is not necessarily an appropriate, thought. It's unfair to, I can't say, I grew up in a much different environment than some young person growing up in inner city Baltimore. So I can't sit there and say we had a equal start. I can't. That part is a fact. However, I can say, and I've worked with many people from very different backgrounds, in the end, and I love the statement, it's more of a general statement, I'm not responsible for the programming I was given as a child, but I am 100% responsible for fixing it. And so when you accept the narrative that everything's unfair, you can make yes, it is unfair, and I can continue to live with that, or I can level the playing field. And there's a gentleman who has a very popular book out right now. I forget his full name, but he's a Marine. His name's Goggins. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's an amazing gentleman, and he has overcome so much in his perspective. He has become impervious to outside criticism, and he has become wildly successful. He's one of just, his story is amazing from childhood on, and I highly recommend the book. While also be very, very cautious. I think he was going for the world record of F words in a book. So just putting that out there. Yeah, I mean, I think he did he set that record. But outside of that, I'm very, very pleased with what he's done with his life and the example he gives. So I love that kind of concept, and it is unfair. And there's all of that is very true. And the point of we all start from different places, but the goal is to fix and go and move forward and overcome. I sort of believe that's the point of life. And we all nobody's had a perfect life. I've had some really tough times, but I have never claimed to be, I know people with much tougher times than I've been through and that are wildly successful. So I'm not claiming a victimhood in that. I'm claiming a victory.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I'd go further and say, if you haven't had, this is strange coming from me, but if you haven't had that kind of really difficult circumstance, really, really difficult, it's hard to do really, really well. The people who have the difficult ones seem to be the ones who prosper the most. And Joel, you've taught me that one over the years, over and over and over again. So many different examples of people who had various kinds of horrible circumstances in their lives and just turned it around in a big way. And I think your hypothesis is right. It's because they went through those struggles. The struggles made them strong.
Well, and here's the piece that is so very important, that backing up exactly what you're saying there. My greatest, I think the greatest part of my life is the struggle. The struggle is what grew it. I grew up in a situation that, wasn't optimal in the beginning, but I've had some ups and downs. I had a lot of things happen. But the struggles led me to my discovery of the law of attraction. My struggles led me to these, all of this next level stuff. And all these struggles have made me incredibly strong. I am the man I am today because of the struggles. And this is the answer. This is the people that I know that are wildly successful, the people that I know that have just gone out and really lived a life of success and lived a life of these people have overcome things. There's some people that come out. I know some people that are born into incredible wealth, and they have very little struggle in their life, and they die exceptionally wealthy, and they live this life that appears to be so, wow, that's the perfect life. They never had to struggle. I view it the opposite. They don't understand life. They don't understand the fixing it. They don't understand that I have days where I had no idea where I was going to sleep. I had days I slept in a flower bed. I've eaten out of a trash can. I've had those days, and to be where I'm at now today, all those led to this. So I'm claiming that, not that I'm trying to judge anyone else's situation, but this is the part that matters so much in my mind. So I think as we go forward, we have to, identify, I do, that yes, the struggles were there. They're either a bad thing or a defeating thing, or they're part of this incredible journey that we're on. And without it, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. Well, and I would also point out that someone who seemingly has an idyllic life, someone born into wealth, living in wealth all their life and so forth. You've told me many times how people who are very, very successful financially have absolutely destroyed relationships. They just can't do relationships to save their lives. So it's not like they don't have anything to deal with. It's just that the money part is taken care of, but the other part of it can be in shambles.
Yeah, I have people I know and people that I work with, and I know people that have over $1 billion, and I mean it's mind-boggling money. I can imagine a lot, but when I really think about it, it's like unbelievable that much money. Yeah. I mean, it really is.
Right.
And their problems, they're just as real as anything I've ever imagined. They're just as not defeated, but they're challenged by them the same way. And to the outside world, you're going, are you kidding me? This is your struggle. Your Rolls Royce needs a jump. the idea that your son may not get into Harvard but he's been accepted to Yale. These are things I'm hearing about. I'm like, or it's like, wow. And a lot of times, a lot of these families too I see the children that are born into this incredible wealth often become the most debilitated people I know, because their wealth kept them from their struggle. And their struggle is what makes us. Our struggle is what develops us. And when you keep somebody from struggling, you stop their, you don't allow them to develop. I was forged through struggle. If my parents and everybody would have kept protecting me from my consequences, I never would have changed what I needed to do. My consequences almost killed me, but in the end, they made me much stronger. And so you within the toxicity, you can rise above, like we started with the topic, the toxicity that's going on there. Again, I can learn to not allow that to affect me. I don't have to bark back at everybody who barks at me. I don't need that. I don't have to be right anymore. I don't have to argue these points. I don't have to be around toxic people. I might have to, actually, but I don't have to engage at the toxic level with them.
And even there, you're volunteering because you're a life coach. That's what you do. You help people. So it's not like you were led there in handcuffs. You said, "Yeah, no, I volunteered to do this."
Yeah, and I like right now in the middle. If you're hearing a beep in the background, I have a client that is a great lady and all, but she's going and she's very in a very toxic mindset right now, and she's really going through a whole lot. And the reality is, it's part of her struggle. We're going to get there. She's going to be okay, but she's worried about minutia. She's worried about the details, and it's not helping her. But that worry is inviting more anxiety, which is creating her to be more anxious, which is creating all these and you see. So I work in an environment where that energy is there, but I have become 90% effective at deflecting that energy and not letting it penetrate where I'm at. And for a long time, I couldn't always do that. But I've developed that skill more than anything, because it's hard to be around that energy, and not have a natural defense to it, because it just, like, you'll hear people's problems or they start crying. If you get enmeshed in that, your energy changes to that, and you're debilitated. That's why you have to be very healthy when you do this kind of work.
Makes sense. In fact, kind of an observation about people who are in that toxic mindset, as you were describing it there for a moment. It is really a testament to the ability of the human mind to focus on one thing, because when you're in that worry mindset and you're worrying about the minutia details, the stuff that's like so small that from a larger perspective, you say, what on earth are you doing? But you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it. That's why we call that person toxic, because they're constantly focusing on that negative mindset. My goodness, what a level of control they have. To be able to just stay on worry endlessly like that, on and on and on and on. I mean, if we could understand when we're in that kind of place, if we could understand just how powerful we are, as demonstrated by the way we've been focusing, boy, it makes it so much easier to realize all I have to do is change that focus to something else in the same way, to the same degree, with the same amount of power behind it, and my life will change dramatically. And that's really what happens, isn't it? With somebody who's struggling, they reach a point of, got it, the light bulb just went on, and they take that power they've been building up all this time and put it in a different direction, and boom, law of attraction delivers something in a big way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know if, Alyx, if you can relate, but I don't actually know much of your story, but it sounds like you and I have had a lot of similar parts of a journey. And when you're doing what you're talking about, when you're walking this path, one thing I try to look at is everybody's behaving in a way that is serving them. It's not always serving them well, and they haven't quite adjusted to realize that yet. But it's very, very little is personal. Very little is in life. When somebody's saying, it's always about them. And now they may be lashing out against you, trying to get their needs met or protect themselves. You know, I know people that have been in very toxic relationships. They automatically are looking to sabotage relationships, or they are automatically, because they've been hurt so bad. So they're so protected, and they're almost like, well, I want to get that person before they get. I see that a lot with the kids in foster care. You know, you get somebody who's been in foster care for a few years, and they're 16 years old, and they become jaded, and the system has really treated them poorly, and then to all of a sudden send them out to the world, and you know, and when somebody says, hey, maybe I can adopt this kid, and they're like, oh no, I'm not going to be hurt again, and they sabotage the adoption. It's very sad, but it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oops, Alyx, we lost your mic. I saw you say something and nothing came through. So double check.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You had a noisy
Weird. I don't know.
It's struggling too.
It is. But without struggle, you have no strength. So there we go.
There it is.
There you go.
You've certainly been through a lot of that. I mean, you might give Joel an idea of from like the 10,000 Clips View, some of the stuff you've dealt with, because you've dealt with quite a few things.
Yeah, I definitely feel what Joel is saying with the no struggle, no strength situation, because I feel like if you haven't gone through something, you can't appreciate how good it feels to feel good. So you need that contrast in your life at some point, you know. Otherwise, it's like if everything's good all the time, you don't really know what good is. You could be thinking that you're living good, and you're like, and then people on the outside are looking at you, and you're like, nah, something's wrong there. Something's not right. But yeah, I've been through some stuff in my life where I am now at a point where I can appreciate the fact that it made me the person I am today. So go ahead.
Go ahead. And I admire that, because the fact you can see it. Now at least for me, while I was in the middle of the storm, so to speak, I could never believe it would be something that would be helpful getting me where I'm at. But on the rear view mirror allowed me to see, wow, the greatest thing that ever happened. I've lost jobs unfairly. But if I didn't lose that job, it didn't get me to that next point. I didn't change this. So I now look at it. Now I've gotten to a point almost that no matter what happens, I'm in like, okay, well, this will be interesting to see how this turns out. I know it's going to be great. I just don't know how it's going to turn out exactly, but it's going to be great. And you know, in a weird way, it sort of takes some of the suspense away when you get to this point. It's like, you know, like, Joel, you're not worried about that? It's going to be fine. It really is. It can't be. Yeah. You know, and I had a weird thing happen a couple of weeks ago. I don't ever go to the doctor either, but I once a year I run a complete spectrum of blood work just to see everything overall, to see if I need to monitor anything. And the doctor's nurse called me right before on vacation, and she said, your prostate serum is up, and we want you to have that tested again, and then maybe come in and talk to the doctor. I said, I will test it when I get back from vacation, but it's no problem. It's fine. She said, well, you can't say that. And I go, I can. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We went back and forth. I said, look, you're not going to talk me into worrying about this. It's fine. When I get back from vacation, I'm in perfect health. I feel wonderful. There's no symptoms. That is a very inaccurate reading. The day I took the blood test, I got done working out. I did very heavy weightlifting. That could be one of the things that raised that enzyme. And so, and she's like, well, it could be cancer. And I go, it can't be cancer. It's not. Relax.
Relax.
And I told her, I said, if you use that word again, I'm going to be really upset. That's not in my orbit. I can't give power to that. And, right. And I'm sure she's going, oh my God, this guy's weird. So, I get back from vacation. And you know, I'm back from vacation. I get a call. She said, did you stop in and get the blood? I said, okay, I'll go today. So I get the blood work done that day. She calls me 2 days later. She goes, "Oh, it's fine." I go, I know it's fine. It never was not fine. It never had the potential not to be fine. But it, if I get into the buying into that concept, then that opens up all kinds of possibilities. So I've learned to not, for the most part, I have slips like everyone else, but I become very protective. I was never concerned about having cancer. I just did not want to start giving that as a possibility to me. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, if somebody said, yes, by the way, you do have this, then that next thing is, okay, I guess cancer is my next challenge. I'm going to take you out next. And it'll be, I've overcome everything, but it's not. I'm not putting that in my wheelhouse. So This is what you're talking about. The struggle that I went through prepared me. I lost my son in a car accident 5 years ago. And everything that I went through and the struggle that I went through connected me and my son in a great way. And then when he was taken, well, I'll never view his loss as a good thing. I refuse to do that. I do believe I was made strong through everything I've been is the only way I was able to handle his loss. So I was prepared. Life strengthened me enough to take that massive blow and move on. And it doesn't mean that I've forgotten about him, and I think about him every day, often multiple times an hour. But it's a positive thought. He brought joy to my life. I framed it to that way. And my life, my journey, the strengths, my struggle, the homelessness, the eating out of a trash can, all the stuff that happened to me strengthened me. It didn't defeat me, and I was in charge of which one it did. So toxicity, or any of those negative things, they, for lack of a better term, they become my bitch. I don't care. I don't need it.
Right. Exact. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good stuff. Yeah. The fact that we get caught up in that stuff is both a testament to who we are as growing people and a testament to where we're going. Mm-hmm. And I remind myself of that. I mean, I look at the world, and for the longest time, I've wondered, why is it that so many people are so wrapped up in drama? Not just their own drama. They'll watch entertainment to be dramaed. They'll look for drama. They'll go find drama. If there's not enough drama, they'll create drama. And I think to myself, what the heck are you people doing? But I now understand and appreciate better than before that there is a value to it that people are seeing and appreciating on a level they probably can't even communicate. Mm-hmm. Well, I can take the word probably out of that sentence because, in fact, I've asked people, and I know for a fact, they cannot communicate it to me. They can't explain to me why they like it. But they do like it, and they find value in it, and they find joy in it, and they find that their life is enriched by paying attention to it. And I'm still coming to terms with it. I'll tell you quite honestly. I mean, Alyx, you and I, we're working on writing a drama. That's what we're doing with the Grams and Screener. We're writing a drama. And as we sit down and write that stuff, I think to myself, boy, these people that we're creating are really, really messed up.
Yeah.
Probably other people are going to like listening to it.
Exactly.
I'm still wrapping my head around that. I don't know what it is. Well, why do people like drama so much? What is that?
Well, drama is drama and chaos, and I put the two in the same category. They participate. Mm-hmm. Drama and chaos have an addicting component to it. It gives you an illusion of meaning and purpose when you don't have a lot going on in your life or it's distracting. I have a quick story that I think about when I know a lady, these are all. I've changed everything, so there's no reference to anyone in particular. All the situation. She was in California, and she had like 10 children, like with 4 different dads, and her house was chaotic. She had, I think, 6 dogs, 2 litters of puppies, some squirrels, snakes, and her house. When I say it was, most people when you say, well, her house was a zoo. I'm not kidding. It was a zoo. You had kids from 2 years old to 19 years old. It was an incredibly dark. I'm trying to come out. It was incredibly difficult, stress-filled environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always baffled by why she had invited so much stress. And so I took a deep breath one day, and I went in there, and I was out visiting, and I was doing some work with them, and I was talking to a psychiatrist after I left because I was baffled at something that happened. One of the little kids accidentally stepped on one of the puppies and killed it. And there was a lot of drama around that. Yeah, dead puppy. Sorry, the story's sort of lost the momentum of the positivity there, but yeah, we'll pull out of it. So
it's like, dead puppy.
my mind went to. I didn't say this out loud, but I'm like, okay, well, at least that's one thing out of the way. That's, sorry it happened, but it's a little, maybe, the mom's response was she went and got 2 more puppies.
Wow.
And I was baffled by that move. And then the doctor I was working the case with said, Joel, what she's doing is the drama and chaos created by all this keeps her from her reality. Her reality is she's a single mom with a little bit of money, and just her life's out of control. She's made incredibly poor choices, has all this stuff happening. So the distraction of all of this keeps her from her reality. So drama and chaos serves a purpose to sort of keep us away from reality. Unfortunately, it also keeps us in a very negative mindset. It keeps us in, we're often engaged in all that and all that drama. And I will tell people frequently, you're addicted to the chaos. You're addicted to the drama, just like any other addiction, because it's serving you on some level. Now, they don't like to hear that, but it is very true. And there's a beautiful term, or there's a beautiful thought. You can end chaos and drama by stepping out of it, by not participating. It just, at the end of the day, I don't have to get all worked up about it. It's just, I'm not going to do anymore. There's even a psychological model that a lot of people, anybody that's been in most basic psychology classes, called the drama triangle. And it literally is about how people get stuck in the triangulation of drama and chaos. And, the easy way to get out of it is to break the triangle. And so you can do a quick Google search. Anybody look up drama triangle. It's really good information out there. But it is. Drama and chaos is very addicting, and it serves a purpose of distraction usually, because it creates an alternate reality that has no that keeps you from things that you should be dealing with.
Another way of pointing to the fact that the human mind is capable of focusing in incredible ways on what it wants to focus on, because it wants desperately not to focus on that reality. So it focuses on anything but, and if there's not enough anything but, then it creates some. Wow.
Well, another thing about drama and chaos is it also allows you the opportunity, and I'm saying opportunity because not everybody does this, but it allows you the opportunity to play the victim and to say, oh, poor me, because I have this going on and this going on and all this drama and all this chaos. Look at my life. Someone help me. And just step out of it. That's all it is. You don't have to do it. You didn't have to get 2 more puppies. You know what I mean? Like you had one less problem. You added 2 more.
That's so, Alyx, that's so dead on. When you talk about, I love the statement, or whoever, I've never attribute the right people saying this. I don't know who said it, but, the people that drive me crazy are people that create their own storms and they complain about the rain. There is no way you cannot expect someone to go, like you're saying, I need 2 more puppies. You don't need 2 more puppies. You need to get rid of 10 puppies and maybe loan out a couple of kids. You got too many hats right now. You gotta, I mean, there's just too much happening. But that again, there's so much going on, it becomes overwhelming. One of the terms, a 3-ring circus, there's 3 rings going on at one time. It's all distraction. And the reality is your life is screwed up and you're not going to fix it because of, I'm a victim of all this. I didn't have a fair start. I have one of my favorite stories that Walt and I talk about a lot is, a young man that he was in foster care and all this stuff was happening to him and it was horrible. It was, and he was buying into everything and he was told that his traumas were this and his mom died and your ADHD and you're oppositionally defiant. And he started hearing all these things. He was behaving as if he was everything they said, but it wasn't because he really was. He was fulfilling their role. They said it. And so this is a 12-year-old kid. And when I sat down, I basically went through the whole thing with him. I go, you're believing this bullshit these people are telling you. And it's ridiculous. You're not any of those things. And one thing I love about working with 12-year-olds often is they respond greatly to the law of attraction. They don't have all the years of stuff built up. So even this kid had a lot of resistance there. He instantly identified and he flipped a switch that I've never seen anybody flip a switch that quickly. His grades went from D's and F's to A's and B's. He changed his entire personality. We eventually got off all these medications he was on, and he no longer was oppositionally defiant because he quit being the victim. Your mom died. Prozac doesn't fix the depression for that. You got to deal with your mom dying. And we have to at some point put a period behind that chapter and move on. You're 12. And that's been a few years ago. He's been adopted into a home. He's thriving. He's on the honor roll. He plays lacrosse. This is a different child because he quit playing the role of victim and then living the dictated role that the victimhood gave him.
Yes.
So powerful. So powerful. That's just that every time I hear that story, you always tell it a little bit differently. I get a chill up my spine, like, oh, that feels so good. It's so great.
Well, it is. It's empowering. I mean, and to see how, it's a great lesson. He's a teacher to me. Even though I was sort of his teacher in the beginning, he's become my teacher because his ability it took me 10 years to do what he did in 2 months. As far as, and he's manifested this incredible life, and he did it when and I love your statement. Chaos and drama gives you the opportunity to play the victim card or victimhood, and and victimhood is about none of this is my responsibility because of all this hand I've been dealt here.
Yeah.
As I said, that is the single most debilitating mindset. Another thing that Walt and I talk about often is my son Justin, who I adopted a few years ago. I was in a Social Security office to change his name, and that's always a fun visit, Social Security office. And as I was sitting there, I was hearing everybody talk about how they were going to discuss with the evaluator how to make their disability worse. And they're going to get more money by more disabled. And they were like, I tell them you have neuropathy in your leg, and if you can't do this, and that'll get more disability money. And I wanted to stand up and go, okay, victims, please, all you victims, please listen. You're killing yourself. You can walk. Your leg may hurt, but you can walk. You're morbidly obese. Quit eating sugar and get moving. Blah, blah, blah. I wanted to give that statement. They would have probably executed me on the spot. But they were rehearsing their victimhood. And by the way, my disclaimer here, I got to give a disclaimer. I am not critical of anyone going through whatever anyone's going through. I'm not making fun of disabilities. I'm not making fun of that. But I know people with no legs and one arm that are wildly successful, happy people. I know people that have had tragic things happen that are wildly successful. So I challenge everyone, no matter where you're at, you can fix you no matter what level you're starting at. I mean, it's there. And so whatever we're dealing with, instead of being victimized by it, make it something to overcome.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I love what you were talking about earlier about, actually, I think Alyx said step out of it, and you were piling on that one. It reminded me of something about the theater. When you go to a theater to watch a play, you sit in the audience and the curtain is closed, and then they open the curtain and start showing the play. And when the play is done, when the drama is done, they close the curtain and there's no more drama.
Exactly.
That's essentially what you're talking about. Close the damn curtain.
Right.
Yeah.
Just stop the play. Just close the curtain.
That's why the only drama I allow in my life is on TV, because I can always change the channel if it gets to be too much.
Yeah.
Well, and that's good stuff. And I'm glad you're able to see it. I'm glad you're able to, that when, I used to fall into the drama. I could get in the middle of it and discuss it and who did what and how I was mistreated or whatever. And I have been mistreated. I have been treated unfairly. And at the end of the day, it was my job to fix it, not get caught up in the middle of it, and not go back to it. And I resigned my role. I checked out, I don't know, it's probably been 15, 16 years when I decided I will no longer be the victim. I will no longer ever play the role of victim again. I am solely responsible for how I feel. I'm responsible for my health. I'm responsible for everything. And once I accepted that responsibility, everything changed. Everything, and I'm in charge. And if it, I don't do it perfectly, but I'm in charge. And that piece is so freeing to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. So now let's go back to the original question that you brought up at the very beginning, Alyx. You brought up the toxicity of people, particularly on Facebook, but also on other social media as well, and how often we see it and how prevalent it is. How has our conversation colored what we've talked about regarding that topic?
I think we've discussed how to get yourself out of it and how to avoid and ignore what is going on, because with people who are like, feeling a certain type of way, and then they just leave that as their post because they want you to be drawn in and they want you to go, oh, what's wrong? And you can ignore that. And I just scroll right past it. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I do like a little bit of drama, so I will look in the comments to see if anything has happened. If nothing's happened, I keep on scrolling. I'm not the one to go, oh, are you okay? If you need me, I'm here, blah, blah. My real friends know if they need me, I'm here. So I don't need to post it on Facebook or whatever. And the whole poor me, why me thing. No, I don't like it. I don't get drawn into it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And in fact, when I see the posts that are like that, if I see a post that includes a sad face, unless I see something in that first sentence that tells me this person is in serious, like suicidal difficulty, I scroll on.
Right,
because
right.
I know exactly what this is all about. It doesn't even matter what the topic is.
No, we just want attention.
Yeah, it's a pity party.
Yeah, and another thing that bothers me about these posts is people will post, send me good vibes because such and such has happened. Send yourself good vibes, okay? You gotta vibrate yourself. We can't do that for you. We can't control your vibration. Like, do you not know how this works? Are you on the wrong page?
Clearly they are. Clearly. And this is a broad statement, but I've talked to Walt about this. I don't actively participate in many Facebook law of attraction groups. I look at them, but a lot of times I found myself asking that same question. And again, it's not my job to police or monitor your version of the law of attraction, how you're dealing with it. But I think a lot of people get so stuck in the wrong way, it actually has a negative effect on me if I allow. And I actually see arguing within these groups over the right way to do it. I'm going, okay, we've really missed the boat here. So I step back, and so I get that, but I'm totally with you on this. We can pick and choose. We get to go out there and do this, and that's the beauty. The drama and chaos. It can have an addicting component, and like you said, you don't mind a little bit of it. It's like a glass of wine is not a big deal. 2 bottles of wine is not a good idea. Exactly. Same theory here.
Yeah.
It's true.
A little dab will do you.
There you go.
One dab is often more than enough. And even on those occasions where I do decide to say something, I usually say something just to shake it up a little bit. You know, like
well, that's when I get drawn in, is when I see, because it'll say, Walt Eason has commented on this topic.
Oh, so it's my fault. Huh?
Now I got okay, so what was the topic and what did he say? Now I got to know. It's Facebook's fault because they notify me when you make a comment. So now I got to know what was so serious that Walt had to take the time out of his day to make a comment.
It's almost never serious. There's nothing serious going on here. Seriously.
No, it's always the same comment. So it cracks me up because it's this like
I do the same one every time.
Whatever Walt says just universally applies to every single post. So
it's just
like,
you're right.
you know.
But basically, I always go back to, okay, so are you done with that? Now, what's really going on that you're going to focus on? That's really what my about. I mean, you mentioned people who say, please send me positive vibes. I think I did this actually very recently.
Yeah, you did.
Positive vibes don't matter. They're not nearly as powerful as your own. What are you going to focus on that you like?
Exactly.
Like, I'm sure you're real popular there, Walt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, God.
Sometimes I like stirring up the snakes, you know.
See, you like a little bit of drama, too.
I do. Well, I don't disagree with it. I certainly appreciate drama at times. I just also know that a lot of the time I want to shut the darn stuff off, so I do.
Yeah, you got to turn it off after a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was watching, the other day we had that tragic Notre Dame burn down in France, and I had some views on it that probably were not the mainstream. So I knew ahead of time, instead of commenting and opening up all the drama, because trust me, there would have been a lot of drama attached to it, I realized there's no need to put my views into this equation. There's no need, and I'll just step back and you know, again, and I'm certainly not happy it happened, but it's a lot deeper than that, and so I just said, no, I'm going to do it. So I don't, you know, the need to share my opinion, especially when I know it would create, you know, anxiety or trouble or angst in other people, by them giving that power, I just decided to be done with it. No way, and I didn't. So it's really important to know that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you took that view on the whole Notre Dame thing, because what it turned into is Facebook posts about my vacation to Paris. That's what it turned into. Everybody had their pictures of Notre Dame, and they're like, well, when I went there, I feel this on a deeper level because I took pictures in front of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's so sad, but yeah, that's Facebook for you. Nothing against Facebook.
Yeah. No, Facebook is, again, your perspective of Facebook determines what Facebook is. And it's a very positive thing for me, and anybody not participating in that is not on my Facebook page, or they're blocked from my view.
Exactly.
Yep, another way to draw that boundary. Well, this has been good. I think we've hit the whole toxic personality thing from about every angle we can go at it. I don't think there's anything left of it. You know, it's pretty much, it's just kind of lying on the ground. It's a dead body. So we can just leave that one behind. But before we leave, I want to remind you, it's a dead puppy. Oh, well, yeah, that's really sad.
There we go. Yeah.
Now you got to bring it back around. That's what you got to
Send your
Thanks for that, Alex.
Send your emails to Alyx at loatoday.net. We'll make sure that she gets them. No, seriously, if you're not yet a subscriber to the program, you can see these programs, they're all really, really different. If you just listen to even 2 or 3 of them, you can tell, I mean, it's the same subject, but oh my goodness, we come at it from a variety of different ways. So become a subscriber and get all of them coming right to your smartphone as soon as we publish them. And it's so easy to do. You just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net, and right there at the top, you'll see a great big iconic button that says click here to subscribe to your particular device. It'll name your kind of device and just walks you through the steps, and just like that, you're a subscriber. And when you're a subscriber, then, of course, listen to the shows, tell us that you like it, and tell everybody else. Use that social media for good. You know, there can be good messages going on Facebook, good messages going on Twitter. Talk to people about LOA Today. Tell them how to get their daily dose of happy, because that's how more people do it. And Joel, thank you once again for all your wonderful insight. Tell people how to reach out to you as a coach in case they need to reach out to you on a professional basis.
Joel Elston at Gmail is my email. That's the most effective way. JoelElston.com is my website. I also always like to mention the last month or two I've been exceptionally full, so I always try to get back to people, but sometimes it may be a couple of days. So always don't think I'm ignoring you, but there are days that I just can't get everything in. So but I love to hear from you, and I will always get in touch, but it may take me a little bit.
Fair enough. And Alyx, we got more work to do on our audio play, but we'll be in touch to keep doing that. We got to get that done. We're on draft number 2. And it's going to be good. So with that thought in mind, thank you to our live stream listeners. Thank you to our podcast listeners as well. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everyone.